enough space on your
I'll tell you if it works.
I just deleted a whole bunch of stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to look at Genesis 1, and starting to do that, we're going to look at Unit 1, Lesson 4 handout. I'm going to ask you to close the Chromebooks, and let's take a look at Lesson 4 together. I'll just ask, or I want to point out that the highlight section at the top, if you haven't read through that, you should. Any of that information I can put on a future test. And if you're trying to help yourself remember things, especially as you're getting ready to study later, it might not be a bad idea to underline or highlight key things in each of those sections. For instance, ancient cultures taught that many gods were involved in creating the world, often even through sexual reproduction and or warfare. That's the way the ancient world dealt with things. So what few words might you underline or highlight there so that later you can just glance at it and say, oh yeah, I can remember that. And it just takes a quick glance that way. So think about what words might help you do that. And since I'm a visual learner, I learned to do this later after high school when I went on to college, just to help things jump off the page at me. So any questions that you had in those first 4 highlights? All right, let's go through the fill in the blank, and this is the audience participation part. First, how many books? 5 books of the Bible are called the Pentateuch. Penta means 5. Maybe you've heard that before. So it's the Pentateuch because it's those 5 books. But they can also be called the Torah or the Law. Very good. So you got Torah and you have Law. Some people, and you might even put this in the margin behind, some people call these the books of Moses. Now that's not a required thing to remember, but you might hear them referred to that way. There's 2 types of literature, the law, and what's the other one? The history. So you'll see history and law being presented. So now I know I'm looking for a certain type of thing while I'm reading. It's not primarily poetry. It's not primarily wise sayings or primarily predictions for the future. It's mainly history and God's structure, God's law.
So it's 2 types of literature?
Law and history. Because of other, what's the blank? Bible, or I wrote biblical references, which means from the Bible. We believe that, who wrote? Moses wrote these books. Okay? Now all these are typical objective type questions or material for the test. Objective means true, false, matching, multiple choice, things like that. The next one is probably more likely a short answer essay. What does it mean that these stories are orally passed on? What's another word for orally? Spoken.
People telling them.
Telling, verbally, right?
Yeah.
So verbal telling. Okay, what does this mean? That means that over time, people continue to tell the story. Now picture before the time of the patriarchs, as we are picturing the people that lived to old ages. After they're done with their work during the week, or should I say during the day, they get together around the campfire and pass on this material through the story. Tomorrow we'll pick up from there. Don't do assignment. If you want to work ahead, do the backside, lesson 4, 5, that will be your next assignment. So if you don't have anyone want to get
That's not a nice word.
I'm going to put this guy on. See ya.